Alright, so this one's about adaptation and adapting to survive. And the first thing I think about, why I'm even like writing about this topic is because if you're starting something new, or like for example, a YouTube channel or anything you're starting that you've never done before, you just immediately start seeing how garbage the first ones are, and you need to adapt to like what you need to fix, what your mistakes are. For me, mine was saying like about 1,000 times, so I need to stop doing that. But let me start with what adaptation means, what adapting means, and why it's going to be like necessary in your life. I think this is true in like so many different aspects of your life, and actually just in nature, about how everything has to adapt to its environment. So the definition for adapt means to make suitable or fit, to adjust to the environmental conditions. So I guess you usually learn this like in biology about how animals adapt to their environment. And usually for biology majors, you have to take evolution, and you're going to learn about adaptations and like allele frequencies and how these populations change and stuff like that. But I guess before I say the practical things, let me just give you some scenarios that you probably experience in your life that you can probably relate to. Like, so one I was thinking of was like, you're in a group setting and you're playing a game you've never played before, and like everybody's played it except you, and you're like, oh yeah, I never played this one. And then someone has to explain to you the rules and like how to play, what your pieces mean or whatever. And you're just like trying to catch along, but you're getting bits and pieces, and you're like asking questions, and you're trying to like, oh, okay, I think I might kind of get it or whatever. And the first round is like garbage. So you like don't even do the right move. You don't even know like how to play. You don't know what you're doing. And they're like, oh, you can't even do that. I think that's against the rules, but you don't know any of the rules yet. And it doesn't matter how many rounds you do the first time you ever played this game, and everyone knows the rules. Everyone's played this before. They know the weaknesses, the strength, how to play. It's just like not even fun for you because you don't know how to play, or you're not good at it at all. And that's just how it's going to be. Like every time you start out something new, you're just terrible at it, and you just stumble around, and you make not horrible, but like you make mistakes, and you don't know what you're doing. And you can think about a lot of context of this, like say you're starting out a brand new job and you're just terrible at it. Like you don't know what you don't know, and you have to start from the bottom up. Another example I thought about adaptation was these mountain climbers. Once they get to a certain altitude, they have to acclimate to the change of oxygen level, or like less oxygen in the air or whatever. And I was thinking about the first time you experience that, it's got to be like not enjoyable. It's very painful, and like it's just a struggle to go through. You're losing oxygen. You can't you get fatigued. You can't do as much physical activity. You're just depleted. You have to adapt to the change of less oxygen. Your lungs literally have to adapt. Your body has to adapt, and it's very difficult to like acclimate. And the beginning is the hardest stage. And say you just moved to a new location, or you can think about like you're the new person at anywhere. New person at a school, new person at a job, new city you move to, any kind of change in your life where you're just like new at. And the first stages is the hardest stage, where you're just struggling, and it's like there's a certain culture that you're joining. Say for example, like you're starting a new job, and everyone's been doing the same thing, the same ways, and they interact the same, and they all know each other, and you're like the odd one out. And you have to learn to adapt to that. And I was also thinking about when you adapt to something, it just means like blending in, and it doesn't mean conforming to whatever the group is, the culture is. It just means blending into the environment that like, you know how everybody interacts with each other. So for example, like when I started this one job, how all these people interacted, how they talked to each other, the way they like lived their lives was not how I wanted to live my life. And I didn't want to conform to them to be like them, but I knew I had to work with them and like assimilate into this job or whatever. So there's a way you can blend in and like learn to work with people, but not be a part of their lifestyle or their culture or like conform to who they are. You just acclimate to a way that you can somehow interact with them in a group. So another example would be like, you ever do a group project or something and these people in your group are like just terrible, they're ruining everything, but you somehow have to work together to get the grade, so you'll adapt to them to like do whatever means you do to have to get to the end because you just want to get the grade and get out of there. Like you don't want to be their friends or whatever. I guess in nature there's some interesting, and there's so many examples, but one main one I was thinking about is this thing called a cuttlefish. And it's like part of the octopus or squid family, but it's not considered one of those. And it's got no defense mechanism except like its skin will adapt to the whatever texture or color it like sits on or lands on, or I mean, obviously it's like in the water, but it's got these things called chromatophores, and the little chromatophores, there's like millions or whatever, and they'll change pigment to change the skin color to adapt to whatever the surface is to be perfect, like camouflage. It's like the master of disguise or whatever. And I mean, that's true adaptation to just like blend in, but at the same time, like it blends in, but it's also not one of them. I mean, it might go to some like coral or rock or whatever, and it blends in perfectly. It looks like it's among them, but it's not one of them. It will move on to something else and blend with that. And that's like the key of what adaptation is. It's just blending in and adapting to what your environment is so that you can thrive in that environment, but you don't have to stay in that environment forever. I mean, I think about like these billionaires, Mark Zuckerberg or like Tim Cook or whatever, and the reason they're like so successful is because they're constantly adapting to like whatever the status quo is. Even if they believe in it or don't believe in it, they're going to change to whatever the public wants or whatever will get them business. So I mean, I saw that like dinner with Trump of all the CEOs, and like every single one of them was like, we thank you for your leadership, and like praising him. And you know that like they don't believe in that at all. Like they're just like sucking up because they're adapting to what their business will like make a lot of money, or they need him for some tariff thing, or they just know how to play the game. And that's what you got to do. Like you got to be good at like knowing how to play the game. And I guess say you're starting out, not even starting out, it's just like a form of change in your life, but you will be starting out with something. You have to learn to like, I mean, your first day on the job, it's going to be like hard. It's going to be embarrassing. It's going to like, you stumble around. It's like, what are you doing? And you just don't know anything. And then even like the second day, the second week, the third week, the first month, you're still just making all these mistakes because you've never done it before. And I mean, you got to be comfortable with like adapting, and don't look at it as a negative of like, you don't know what you're doing. Just be like, accept that you're the new guy, and like use that card of like, I'm new, so why are you getting on me about this? Like, how am I supposed to know? And just do it in like a kind, respectful way of like, oh, okay, I learned how to do it now. But don't be like, oh man, I'm so terrible. Like everyone else like knows what they're doing, and I'm just like garbage at this. It's like, no, you're brand new. Of course you're gonna be garbage at it. You have to learn. I mean, the same thing with like when you start a brand new game that you don't know the rules till you don't know how to play. I mean, once you start playing it over and over and over and over, you start seeing the repeating patterns of like, oh, don't do this, and you get better at it. And that's just kind of how life is. Like, you're horrible at something, and then you do it over and over and over and over until you see, oh, this is not working, let me try this, and this one works a little bit better, and then you start adjusting, you keep adapting, and you'll never stop adapting until you die. I mean, like, everything is constantly changing, and you have to change with it, but not in a way that you're like changing who you are. I mean, you still be yourself, but you have to adjust certain things to get to the next step and like play whatever the game is. And I mean, eventually, like, these mountain climbers, they're gonna like acclimate, they're gonna adjust, they're gonna adapt to it, and they can like, either they're breathing oxygen or they don't, their lungs adapt in a way they don't even need as much oxygen. It's just crazy how fast your body will adapt. I mean, you can adapt and you will adapt fastly, but you just have to like put yourself in the circumstance first, or you get kind of thrown into it. But it's amazing how you will adapt, and if you don't adapt, you're gonna get left behind. And I mean, in nature, it's like you're gonna die. I mean, if you don't adapt to whatever the climate is, or whatever the predators are, or whatever new obstacle you face, you're just gonna die. And it's the same thing with life. I mean, you're gonna get cooked if you don't adapt. And I mean, one example was also like COVID-19, about how the whole world kind of changed, and it changed rapidly. And I mean, everyone had to adapt immediately. Every nation, every, individual, of like how they're doing their life. I mean, I was in school when it happened, and then like the labs went to online. It's like, how are we supposed to even do a physics lab like online? And it somehow worked because like we all adapted. I mean, no one really knew what they're doing. And that's the truth of everything. No one really knows what they're doing, okay? They've just been doing it a long time, and it appears of like they're knowledgeable, but they've just done this so many times in a row that it's like eventually you're gonna get it. I put also about forming good habits, so I guess whatever you're doing in your life that's not working, you gotta start adapting and changing things and forming these good habits that's like benefiting your life. You have to start doing the little things that accumulate over time each day. You could also relate it to like assimilating, or these immigrants that come over to, immigrants that come over to like your country, or say you're traveling and you're going to a new country and you're just completely out of place. But the more you're there, the more you start. If you ever traveled to a new place, and when you first get there, it's like you're just like sticking out like a sore thumb. I mean, everything you do is like everyone's looking at you. But the longer you stay in that place, the more you start recognizing how to not stand out. Like, everyone's doing something a certain way, or if you do this, everyone will look at you. If you do this, everyone's kind of doing that together, and you just learn to like blend in with them. And I mean, there's certain places where you can never blend in because like you don't speak their language, you're not one of them, but you can get a little bit less stand out, a little bit less of like standing out. I was gonna say like there's some places you can never assimilate into, but it's kind of not true. Like, you can assimilate into anywhere. I mean, there's places where it's like you'll never be one of us, but you can get to the point where like they just kind of accept you as one of them because you've locked in so long. And then I kind of already mentioned this earlier with the billionaire thing, but when people think about like Mark Zuckerberg, he's not just a billionaire because like he made Facebook. Like, that's long gone. Or Elon Musk is not a billionaire just because he made Tesla or something. Like, they were doing stuff long before and long after, and they've been adapting ever since. And they constantly are changing their new like business model to adjust to what's the modern contemporary thing. Or like, for example, I mean, Facebook is like getting outdated, and he bought Instagram. He's working on like AI. He's trying to steal the people from OpenAI because he knows the AI is what's the future, I guess, and what everybody's going towards. So we're in a point right now where every company is trying to just lock in the AI thing because they know that their stuff's going to be outdated, and it's just a constant fight. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, peace.